You are listening to The Happy Gynecologist with your host, Amanda Miles, MD. Hey bees, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about one of my number one requested topics, which is charting. So many of us think about charts as the bane of our existence or this never-ending hamster wheel that we get stuck on and are maybe even always falling behind on. I don't know any physician that has not probably struggled with this at some point. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into how it's not the charts that are creating this drama for us. The charts are completely neutral. It's a literal stack of folders sitting on your desk, or it's a literal list of electronic documents in your inbox. There is nothing actually dramatic about a stack of folders sitting on a table somewhere. Okay? So, where does the drama come from? It comes from our thoughts about them. And this is also where we run into troubles with falling behind on them, is the thoughts that we think about the charts, the meaning we are assigning to these charts is potentially creating negative results for us. So, today, let's dive in and figure out if we can maybe tune up our charting practices at all if you struggle with this, okay? Now, if you are someone that has a scribe, or maybe you're a different type of, healthcare worker that doesn't, struggle with this, maybe you're one of my nurses or my CRNAs or somebody else that's following along, I want you to think about how there is probably somewhere in your life that you fall behind on, or you feel overwhelmed by, and you can still apply these same tools to that area in your life to produce different results. Okay, so be thinking about where could I apply this if charts don't apply to you. So what I so often hear is that I have docs or friends or clients that will come home after a long day at the clinic or a long day in surgery, and they'll kind of struggle to get through dinner, getting the bedtime routine with the kids done, maybe homework before that, and they'll kind of collapse and be exhausted on the couch, and then they have to drag out their laptop and do the charts, or even get caught up on charts. And sometimes this turns into where you're sitting on the couch, just kind of vegging out. You've got a glass of wine or a bowl of snacks. You definitely have Netflix on. Does this sound familiar to anybody? And you're trying to muddle through them, and it's taking you forever because, hey, this is your time off. You need to be enjoying it too. That's what the Netflix and snacks are for. But what happens is that you take forever to do them, so then you don't actually get a whole lot of work done. It's not efficient to do charts this way, because you're also trying to fight with the fact that this is your downtime. And so then you'll either go to bed at some point and not have completed very many charts, or you'll stay up till 2 a.m. to do them so you don't get that nasty gram from medical records. And then you're exhausted starting the next day. So we don't get charts done and we don't enjoy our downtime with either of these situations. So what I want to kind of discuss today is that there are three kind of thought patterns that I see amongst OBGYNs specifically, but this may, be true for others as well. So what I see is that there are typically three thought patterns when it comes to charting that I see very frequently that lead to results that may not be ideal. So what I want you to do is, when we go through each of these thought patterns, think if you ever do these things and kind of start realizing or paying attention to how this is playing out in your real life to see if it's creating results for you that are serving you or not. Okay? So the first thought pattern that I see very often is that many physicians will use charts as a way to measure how well they're doing. And so what I mean by that is, if they have 30 unsigned charts, they will then say, oh my gosh, well, I am a terrible doctor, or I am so lazy, or some other negative thought about themselves. And so they will assign the meaning to those unsigned charts that they are inherently bad. And that leads to us feeling kind of shamed or defeated or terrible, really. Any of these negative thoughts is enough to make you have a negative feeling. And that's going to lead you to negative results. You're not going to feel motivated to go finish your charts if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just so freaking lazy. I can't even get all my charts done. And I'm just so lazy. You're not going to like hop up off the couch and go knock out 15 charts. You're not. You're just going to kind of wallow and hide. So something that might be helpful is to identify what you're thinking about yourself whenever your charts are unsigned or whenever you have a lot of them to do. If you're making it mean something negative about yourself, I want you to see how that's playing out. Because if you're shaming yourself and telling yourself you're a terrible person for not having your charts done, or, oh my gosh, I got another nastygram from medical records, I'm so terrible, or I'm a bad person, then you're not going to create a feeling that is going to want to spur you to get them done. You're going to, whenever I feel shame, I want to go hide. I want to go like sit under a blanket and hide from the world. And so that's definitely not going to lead to more charts done. So oftentimes this leads to us dragging our feet, beating ourselves up, sitting on the couch all evening, maybe half-heartedly doing them while we're trying to buffer these negative feelings away with snacks or wine or Netflix or all of it together. And we basically avoid even completing the charts, right? So when this happens, it's all because of these thoughts that we're thinking. So I want you to examine if you're doing this. See if you can catch yourself judging yourself or beating yourself up for not getting them done. If this is a thought pattern for you, I want you to start brainstorming how you want to feel about your charts. You don't have to love them, okay? I'm not asking you to do that. But if you feel motivated or like you're going to dominate your charts, then you will. So thinking a thought like, I'm going to flash through these in record time. Or I'm going to dominate these charts in the next 15 minutes. That's going to get you a lot further than thinking terrible thoughts about yourself. So find a thought that feels right for you and practice it. Even if you're just starting slow with something that feels believable, like, I've got this. Okay, 45 charts. Okay, I've got this. That means nothing about me. The number of charts is neutral. Because you do have this, okay? You can do hard things. Charts are not hard. They are not evil. They are not terrible. They are literally a document on your computer or in a folder. They have no control over you or any effect on you, and they do not control or affect your worth as a person or a doctor. They are no different than a book sitting on the shelf or even a book on your Kindle, okay? They have words and information in them, but they don't mean anything about what kind of person you are. The second thing that I see quite often is a sense of perfectionism when it comes to charting, where you might pore over your charts, making sure every word is perfect and every detail is present, that every click box is checked and nothing is missing. Every single detail of the transfer records are in the HMP that you've written. All the measurements of the uterus and the annexa are perfectly typed into the note. You've documented that she wears a seatbelt and that there are no guns in her house. She has not traveled outside this country. Check. Her allergy to watermelon is documented as rash, okay? Just in case you ever need that little tidbit of information. And so when you spend so much time making each chart perfect, it takes you 3 times as long to complete it. When you obsess about the grammar and the punctuation and all of the little things, you aren't adding anything to the patient's care. You're only adding time to your workday. Now, some of you may be having thoughts right now, and your brain may be kind of wanting to get a little bit dramatic about this. You may want to argue about this, okay? But adding superfluous details does not affect the patient's care. So when this perfectionism kicks in, it usually signifies that on some level, maybe deep down inside, that we have a fear of failure. We want to be perfect because if we're not perfect, we might fail, right? If we're not perfect, we aren't enough. We aren't good enough. But if we are perfect charters, then people will see what good doctors we are. If we chart everything perfectly, our patients will do better and have better outcomes, and we can take a bow and say, see what a good doctor I am. But what this perfectionism will also do to us is this. We won't even start the chart because we know it won't be perfect. Or we know it's going to take a super long time to get it done. It's going to take forever to get that done. We won't even start because it won't be perfect. But we know this because there's no such thing as perfect. But our brains want to be perfect because then we can be good people. And if we just avoid the whole thing, we won't fail. If we just avoid even starting that chart, we can't be less than perfect, so we won't fail. So I want to tell you guys a good example of this perfectionism that I found recently in myself. And this is totally unrelated. It was whenever I was trying to find some hobbies that I liked. So I went to Hobby Lobby. I don't know if you guys have Hobby Lobby where you live. It's like a craft store that is huge and has millions of aisles of craft supplies. And so I went down all these aisles of Hobby Lobby, like searching for the perfect hobby. And I bought a bunch of watercolor supplies because I thought, oh yeah, this is it. This is my hobby. And so I took them home, and there they sat. They sat on my desk, and they sat there for a long time. Because what happened is I couldn't even bring myself to start a project because I knew I was going to suck at it at first. I knew it was going to be terrible. And I didn't even want to fail, so I just didn't start. So the same applies on how I used to treat charts. I wanted my charts to be in a perfect format with the G's and the P's and the L and P in the first line and the rest of the HPI in bullet points, with the PAP being the first bullet point. And like I had all of these criteria of how I wanted things to look. I liked how it looked, and it made me feel good whenever I looked at it like that. But if I didn't have the time to make it look perfect like that, because obviously that would take longer than just typing in the damn chart, I would wait, quote unquote, until I had time to do it right. But, that time never came, because then I would see 20 more patients for the rest of the day, and then, 30 patients again the next day. And so then I was constantly trying to play the catch-up game on nights and on weekends and on days off. So if this sounds like you, I want you to start looking at why you think the chart needs to be perfect. Ask yourself what would happen if you would misspell one of those double consonant words. Menorrhagia, oligomenorrhea. Are you afraid that you would be viewed as a bad doctor? Because I'm pretty sure I've never paid attention if someone misspelled something like that in the chart. We're busy people. I think most of us understand that. Or would you view yourself as a bad doctor? Are you trying to control what others think of you by trying to make it perfect? I have known some really great docs that were what I would call minimalist charters, and I still consider them great doctors. They're some of my mentors even. Yes, all the necessary info needs to be there, but you don't have to make it harder than it is. You need the bare basics for good care and the bare basics to get your billing done. You don't need all the superfluous fluff. We are not internal medicine docs. We are OBGYNs. Okay. Do you remember on your surgery rotation, whenever the whole note, the progress note would be like 3 lines, right? Aim for less, okay? Let's be minimalist in our charting. Make it good, but minimal. Your brain may be arguing with me right now, and that's okay. I used to be in this boat. What I want you to consider is that doing B- work is still really good work. It's a good grade still. It's not perfect. It's not. Setting the standard of your own expectations is where you learn to do this, though. By giving yourself permission to not strive for perfection, you're taking the first step. The second step is trying to figure out why you think it needs to be perfect. What are you making it mean about you if it is not perfect? I really want you to question that, because again, your charting doesn't mean anything about you as a doctor as long as the basic necessary information is there. So that moves us on to the third topic. And the third most common thought pattern that I do see is that docs think that charts are evil. EMRs are terrible. Nothing I do is ever going to change that. This EMR sucks. Right? Have you ever been in this category? I have been in this category multiple times. Most docs in this category might say that they would love their job if it just wasn't for the darn EMR. and that the charts are the villain, the doctor is the victim. And whenever I'm saying this out loud, it sounds silly, but many people truly believe this, okay? They think that there's nothing they can do, that it just sucks, there's no fixing it. And so, every day they have these thoughts. It obviously is creating a work environment where you don't want to do your charts or you don't want to work on the EMR. If you think that the EMR is the most terrible thing ever and that it sucks and you hate it, you're not going to actually want to do any of the things on the EMR, including charts. So, whenever you're thinking things like this, let me just say, you are not in a solutions-focused place. You are not allowing your brain to search for ways to improve. You are essentially shutting down creativity and problem solving in your brain. And you're not allowing yourself an out. You're just closing the door. And then you're locked inside with all those thoughts and all that negative feelings that come with it. A lot of times thinking like this is a way to be mad about charts, so you can blame the charts for you not doing them and completing them, So, well, I don't have them done. Well, the EMR is so terrible. That's why I'm so far behind. If it was just more doctor friendly, I'd be able to get twice as much done. So thinking this and saying this is never going to get you anywhere. I'm not saying that you need to love your EMR. I'm not saying that you need to say that it's all perfect and you love Epic or Meditech or NextGen or any of the things, okay? I'm just saying that you're placing yourself in the role of being the victim to the EMR. You're giving yourself no power to change that or make it any better whenever you think this way. So if you find yourself blaming the EMR for all of your charting woes, I want you to start asking yourself some questions to get your brain into problem-solving mode. So first question is, how can I make this faster? When you ask yourself this, it allows your brain to get to work on figuring this out. Let your brain problem solve. It likes to do that. Maybe the answer is that your MA reviews the history, so it's up to date. Maybe your EMR can integrate with online paperwork, so the patient can enter that in ahead of time and it just plugs into your note. I don't know. I don't know the answer for you, but I would bet that if you start asking yourself this, you could come up with 1 to 2 things that could make it faster. And number 2, are there tools that I can take advantage of to improve this? Okay, so are there tools I can take advantage of to improve this? So that's like, does your EMR have dot phrases, quick text? Can you use drag and dictation to employ these? Can you have standardized notes? Can you have a physical exam that is a quick exam? I want you to start asking yourself if there are tools that you are not using to make yourself faster or to make yourself get through your charts easier. How can you find ways to make charting easier? As a side note, I found that I typically follow a very similar pattern of evaluating and treating certain things, and that I also tend to counsel patients very similarly for certain problems. So I typically have a quick text for, really common things like PCOS, abnormal uterine bleeding, contraception counseling, hormone replacement therapy, well woman care. So that's like 5 things? And so I have, a set of quick texts, 5 quick texts that probably cover most of your general GYN clinic. So that is like an HPI that I can plug in different values into the HPI of how often they're having periods, how long it lasts. I just have a little space for how many days, right? But the meat of the information is already there. And also having, a typical counseling discussion. You can save these in a Word document that you just have open while you're seeing patients, copy and paste it over into your HPI, into your plan, and then make your slight modifications. It saves so much time. So many people are such EMR haters that they just kind of balk at getting to know your EMR or figuring out how to do the quick text thing. So really taking an hour out of your week and creating these documents so that you can use them for the rest of the time you're on that EMR is such a time saver. It doesn't sound like it would be at first, but it is. It creates space later on. So take the time and figure out how you can do this, even if it's as archaic as just having a Word document that you copy and paste, okay? I'm not saying every patient is copy and pasteable, but you know what you say over and over again, okay? You know the same words that you are repeating to every, well-woman patient. You have a script. Now, this is the time to figure out what that script is and make your life easier. So what tools can you take advantage of to improve your charting experience? So some of the things I want you to consider as well are making sure that you are working to the top of your degree and that your staff is as well. Are there things that your staff can work into their workflow that can take some of the burden off you so you can just be the doctor? I once knew a doc that would send faxes and type out school excuse notes. And if you're doing this stuff, maybe you should consider letting your staff help you here. It's not that you can't do it all, and it's not that you want to put more work on them, but if everyone in your office is working to the highest degree they have, it means that you're just using your doctor degree for doctor stuff. Okay? Let other people help you and ask for their help. Delegate their help and tell them the why. Tell them, I need help so I can complete my charts during the day, and in order to do that, I need you to do X, Y, and Z for me. I think that telling them the why really helps the team effort. It is all of our jobs to take good care of these patients. Here's what I need from you so that we can do that. The next big thing that I really want you to consider is you need to remove distractions. So whenever you're sitting at home watching TV and eating snacks and drinking wine while you are doing your charts, you're not doing this in an efficient manner. You know this, okay? But you're also wasting your time off. What I want you to do is make it your goal to finish your charts before you leave for the day. I know that seems like a very big goal, but if that is your goal, is to not take work home, I think you will surprise yourself. Okay, you will surprise yourself about how you don't waste time during the day, you don't chat as much, you are in your office doing that chart as quickly as you can with that goal. An example for me for this is I have what is called tomato soup night at my house. We have tomato soup night, and what tomato soup night means is that it's my turn to cook. Okay, and those of you that know me know that I cook about 3 things. And tomato soup is one of them. My kids love tomato soup night. So what this means is I got to get out of the office so I can get home and cook and have dinner. Okay, I have little kids. I have 2.5-year-old twins and a 5-year-old. So we eat fairly early. And so for tomato soup night to work out, I got to get out of the office before 5, which is sometimes challenging. So I know that if it is tomato soup night, I'm not chit-chatting. I got to get my stuff done. I got to get out of there. Okay, so if you keep your eye on the prize of, okay, I got to get out of here. I'm not taking work home tonight. I am in there. I am typing in those charts. I am, getting those phone calls done ahead of time. I am like trying to figure out how can I get to the next room? How can I get to that next room? And so if you have a goal for yourself, you are much more likely to get this done during the day. And I think that you'll be surprised that you can do it, okay? If you're not just putting it off. So one way to do this also is to really reduce your distractions. So if you work in a communal workspace with lots of other people, consider wearing noise blocking headphones in between patients so you can just get your chart done. Maybe tell your staff, hey, whenever I got these headphones on, I got to get this chart done. You can't interrupt me. I want you to also think about turning off your notifications on your phone, especially, email, social media, anything that pings your phone and interrupts your train of thought. Because if you're interrupting your train of thought 100 times a day, of course you're not going to be able to stay on task and get these charts done. If you're not on call, even maybe consider turning your phone onto airplane mode or do not disturb whenever you're trying to get these charts done. The other thing is I want you to not distract yourself with snacks. Snacks are a way for us to make ourselves feel better while we are charting. These are also how we gain weight. And it's also a way of buffering. So if you're sitting around and you're saying, oh, well, I'm going to just have this snack while I chart so I can, it's like a little treat. I used to do that all the time. I would have like M&Ms and I would do my charts, and like after each chart I'd get like a couple M&Ms. It was like my little treat for doing something good. This is such a terrible habit to be in, or such a terrible way to process that you don't want to do your charts. Mostly because it is part of the whole like feeling stuffing thing that we talked about last time. You are buffering. You are trying to add chocolate in to make your feelings better. And it works for a little bit, but the net result is not good, because then you have to go up a scrub size, or you just don't process your feelings, or you don't actually get your charts done because you're too busy eating M&Ms. Same thing with TV. You're probably not enjoying the TV you're watching if you're doing your charts during it, and you're probably not doing your charts very efficiently. So set a timer, turn everything off, no distractions. Set a timer for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. See how much you can get done. Challenge yourself to get them all done, even if it seems like you have 30, 40 charts. See if you can get them all done in 45 minutes. I think you would be shocked at how many you could get done. Challenge yourself, make it a game. Okay. And the last tidbit that I have is, I want you to try to find the fun in this. There's got to be something that can be amusing. Make it a game. See how many you can do. See if you can race yourself. Okay, I've got 10 minutes. I wonder if I can get 11 charts done. Finding some way to challenge your brain to get this problem done in a set amount of time. Now, again, don't be rewarding yourself with the snacks once you're done or you win the game. Don't do that. Just get the charts done. Make it fun. Make it amusing. Make it, how many of these can I get done? And look at that. It's money that we just made for our clinic. Look at all those charts. That's another way that's kind of, it incentivizes you to get this done, so your billers can send this out, so you can, get paid. Getting paid's cool, right? So just try and find a way that is not negative and terrible and awful. Find the fun. So those are all my tips. I want you to see if you can make any of those work for you. Maybe you have other suggestions for how you like to get your charting done, and I would love to hear about them. So head on over to my website or my Instagram, and I hope to talk to you guys next week. Thanks, y'all. Bye. Thanks for joining me today on The Happy Gynecologist. If you have questions or comments, head on over to my website, coach-miles.com, or follow me on Instagram at CoachMilesMD. I'd also love it if you left me a review on iTunes. See you next week.